All right, let's open some Superman 3 cards. There's 10 cards, one sticker. Now, there's going to be gum in these. Again, I'm going to try to save the packs. I am going to keep at least one of these. And I'm not going to open, but I keep thinking I've got more than that already. First, as you can see, the gum is holding on to one of our cards, so we're just going to see if we can just pop that off. That worked pretty good. So our first card is Computer Whiz. And again, if you remember, this is the Richard Pryor one. Gus has a plan. Now, if you remember in this, Richard Pryor was smart enough as a computer guy. He decided that he was going to figure out a way to kind of bump his paycheck up till he made tons of money. But instead of getting him arrested, the bad guy decided to use him to go after Superman and to be able to make himself rich and control power. This is Robert Vaughn, which is the bad guy, and his sister is supposed to be, with him. And this is where he's trying to introduce the kryptonite to him. And I'm trying to remember exactly how. I do remember the splitting where he turns into two different characters. That's a great shot of him there. And again, that's where she gets merged in with the machine. It becomes like a machine version of herself. And that's the big giant computer that Gus created. And again, there's our sticker for that one. So again, each one, has 10 cards. It's not really a big set. I look it up again. I try to go to the non-sports card database and just look at it and try to make sure that, because again, sometimes you have like a set that's, O-Pee-Chee, then you have a set that's here. The O-Pee-Chee would be out of Canada. Now, this gum is literally just, it leaves a little residue, but as a whole, it's really not. Doesn't have much of a grip anymore. Kryptonite Ray. Creepy Brad. You remember him. I know him from somewhere else. If you remember where you know him from, I can see him in something else. And I'm trying to remember what he was from. I have to look it up because, like I said, that's going to aggravate me. I can see him playing another character that was basically the same way. I hadn't seen this movie in a while, but this is like his reunion he goes to. Because we start with like the plant disaster kind of thing. This is a good one. This is where he becomes the darker version of himself. It really wasn't that bad of a movie. I think it really had a lot of good elements in it. It's just it really was not, I would consider it to be, again, truly about the third of the best of the movies in that way. So now we just seen something with the speech. We did see that one, so we've already repeated some of them. And that one. And that one. Now, did get a new sticker. Real cool one of him actually using his breath to actually blow that on there, so that's pretty cool. Again, a lot of these sets are really not overly expensive. They tend to only have, they don't have the 5,000 different, layers of cards that they, a subset of a set of another set, which is so stupid. I get tired of that. I get tired of when you look at something, there's 13 different sets of something, by the time you're done with a card set, it's kind of aggravating after a while. Alright, now this is where bad Superman versus himself. It's sort of his Clark Kent persona. Where he's getting, that's where he's got beat up by the bad version. Off on vacation, where she's getting her bathing suit ready. And there's Brad again. Ricky's in the wheat field. Like children of the corn or something. And this is where finally Clark actually, starts winning against the bad version of himself as Superman. On the road to Smallville, Jimmy Olsen with him. And there's Gus again. And car's got a weird feel to the back of it, like it's kind of warped. And this is where Gus is working with Superman by then. This shot, our sticker is Superman's being attacked by the computer at that point. The downside of this movie to me is they decided to, like you had Lex Luthor in the first movie. The second movie was the negative zone bad guys. So you had Zod and everything. But by the third movie, you would think that we would bring in, say, Brainiac or one of those, to kind of highlight another villain of Superman's or any of those even. And what we got really was them sort of playing it to just a massively intelligent computer that decides to run everything. And I think that was where one of the failings of this was, because they could have went with it. I thought it was neat to kind of show Lana Lang, because that kind of gave Superman's past and future to kind of show both. This is where Superman faces. Now, this would have been better if it would have been a version of, Brainiac or something, that they had found part of the alien technology, and this genius wanted to, like he wanted him to rebuild a system around it to be Brainiac. I could have at least handled that, because it would have been, sort of like, if you remember a Justice League Unlimited episode, Lex Luthor was hanging on to that fact of Brainiac trying to bring him back and bring him back out of the smallest amount, which then eventually he did take over Lex Luthor and use him as a host. So, strength of the Man of Steel. Superman out in the wheat field about to be ground up. There's the card version of our sticker. And Gus and her again. A little shot of Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. And that's also the other thing. We do a throwback to, and I'm trying to remember the movie as I go, but we're doing a throwback to him going to Smallville and everything else and stuff, but it kind of puts aside the Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen characters in comparison. So we get more of his Smallville, and I do believe this was supposed to be her son, Linus. So this is a job for Superman. Now this is a very iconic flight looking one. I don't know about you, but I like it. Again, I'm a person who first puts together a set. Then once I put together a set, I will keep a pack. Once I keep a pack, then eventually what I do is I try to get a box of it, or build a box out of it. I do it in steps that way, but the most important factor is to be able to look at this and see my whole set together. That's what I'm shooting for. Gus describes the hurricane effect, giving Gus Gorman a lift. I remember that. He takes him and drops him off eventually, where he creates the diamond, in which he does. We've seen that one, the ski one. Rescuing Jimmy Olsen, we've seen that one. Gus has a plan, we've seen. Now we have not seen that one. Meeting Ross Webster or Robert Vaughn. I have some of the Man from Uncle cards, so now I've kind of got a combination of the older Robert Vaughn is that way. Jimmy's been injured, about to go kind of sideways. The Leaning Tower of Pisa. And I know of, this is where Superman flies and fixes the tower as part of him being bad. It's kind of funny that way. And this is where the car actually floods, and I'm trying to remember who that is drowning, or just a regular person, but he's actually ended up. And then remember that. Now, if you ever watched Top Gear, the older ones, the three guys, the British, not the American one, they actually took and used snorkels, and the water was nasty on some of the old cars they got, but they had to go in and literally duct tape the sides of the doors and everything after they got in, and then fill the cars up. And some of the cars wouldn't even hold water, but with those that would enough, they would sit there with the goggles on and the snorkels and try to see how far around the track they could go with their cars and stuff before they emptied out. And So I think it's funny that filled up and actually did that. So it's just, when you know, okay, that's a Dick Tracy. That's a Dick Tracy. Menudo. Let's go back to the Superman. If y'all would like me to open some more, let me know. I have two Dick Tracy. I wouldn't mind. Those are both different formats. That's the other thing you got to look at too, and I'll show you what I mean by the time we get to. Because based out of what I know, the Superman has only one type, so I'll have to look at. There's our villains exercising. And again, they had to have the sexy girl with it. And seen that one. Oh, I hadn't seen that one. And this is Vaughn's sister in the movie when she's became roboticized, and she's, Now this is after Superman defeats his evil side, and now he's back in action. And if you look at Gus has got his giant cowboy hat. And Gus lets Superman know the way to kill the computer is to dump the acid down inside the computer and it'll eat up all the things. And this is little Jimmy in the wheat field. I know it says Ricky, but Smallville honors Superman. And then finally our sticker is Superman. Looks like he's fighting against some kind of kryptonite version, so we'll see. Alright, now, our next one, we've got a total of, I'm going to do this one more after this one, and that will be it. And then I'll show you all a couple of the ones up close that I got. Again, I am glad that most of the gum will just pry off. And if you get how to do some of these cards, you can actually take and soak some of these and it'll get rid of a lot of the gum residue on that. I've done it before. I've seen that one. Now we haven't seen that one. That's where he challenges the bad Superman. This is where he flies in and stops at the coal mine where he's going to make the diamond. We've seen that one. And again, I've got enough of Jimmy running in the wheat field there. And Gus. You can never have too much of exercise and villains. That's a little bit of Superman soaring through the city. That would be a new one that we get. Same thing with this one. General Gus. It's funny because you think of Richard Pryor and a lot of movies he was in, but there was also Pryor Place. It was on Saturdays, even though I didn't watch it. I've now watched a lot of that kind of stuff. So there was a push to kind of making more family friendly at a certain point. And the things like Pryor Place, him being in Superman was kind of part of that. I think that when he was with Gene Wilder, in a lot of pictures. I think that was actually really good quote for his image, even though he had a lot of other quote issues. But the crime fighter from Krypton, it's a little blurry picture. It's a really cool shot of him flying away, and the sticker is awesome of him actually using his X-ray vision. Now, for those of you who are waiting on parallels and, the blue holograms and stuff like that, that's a different set. And that's why I enjoy these, because I don't have to, I'm just trying to put together a set of stickers and enjoy the movie. Alright, now this is the last pack I'm going to open this way. We've seen that one. And that one. And that one. As you can see, these are only a handful of packs, but a lot of reprints of things that you get. So, that one. Now, this one's a new one. This is Slide to Safety when he's rescuing some people. This is a new one. This is his greeting from Lana Lane. Now, I do believe that in this, the ring he's getting is potentially for Lana. I'm trying to remember if it's that or making him think in terms of Lois. I can't remember if they're trying to, because at the time in the comic books, I think they might have been playing up on Lana some. There's our bad girl. This is where Clark bumps into Gus. Oh yeah, I like this scene. So, in this scene, he jumps into that photo booth and transforms from Clark Kent to Superman, but in the process of doing that, the photo booth goes off and it actually takes a picture of it all the way through. So he goes in and actually takes the picture thing, tears off the part where he was Clark Kent, and gives the kid the ones of him as Superman. So that was kind of neat. This is where he's fighting against the bad Superman. And this is where he's making the slide to life kind of thing so the people can go down. So, again, pretty neat scene for all of them. Again, this is our pack for all of these. Again, 10 cards, 1 sticker. Some of the other ones I ended up getting at the time. I know if you watch my quick video. Picked up the Menudo. Again, he just puts them randomly in there, so I got 2 packs of those. I'll keep one of those like it is. The other one I will open to try to build a set. I don't know if that's the Ricky Martin Menudo, but I got to take a look. Dick Tracy. And if you know these are the ones that really, again, stickers, and the other, you have an O-Pee-Chee one and you have a Topps one. These are the top ones, of course. And again, out of this, we're looking for more the Madonna one. We're looking for the Breathless Mahoney one when she is. And that's the 2 different versions of the Dick Tracy ones. I think that's all there is the 2. So those I may not open because I need to find out exactly If I already have which ones. If I do, then I might open the Dick Tracy, one of the Dick Tracy's. I gotta look, make sure which ones I have, and I may open one of my Menudo ones coming up. But that's it. Long video. But it was just showing me opening all of the Superman 3. I hope you enjoyed it. I did get some Superman 1 and Superman 2 cards in this lot of stuff that I've gotten recently. I am trying to get back to my roots of cards and get back to the older sets in which I'm trying to fill in and do and stuff and enjoy. Because again, this is the way we used to watch a movie over and over again, was to take the cards out and do it. That was the only way you could do it. So I enjoy this. So I hope you did. Did you see this movie? Did you stop after the second one, the first one? Did you even see any of the Superman movies? And again, if you were going to sit and open some packs, what would it be? All right. Y'all have a good one, and I appreciate everybody watching.